It's going to come on in a second. Opening's coming on. Just one page. Well, welcome. It is 3 days, is it, before Christmas 2010. And we are super excited. As you know, usually this is our holiday restaurant show. And unfortunately, for those who are looking for wonderful treats to eat for Christmas week and beyond, we do not have our chef. Two of our chefs have been called away. The demand for the restaurants, which of course we are so happy for the holidays, is just prohibitive for them to even leave the kitchen during the day, directing everything that needs to be done. Because business is booming, ladies and gentlemen, as you hopefully have heard, if you've not experienced yourself, all over our city and of course in our restaurants. So we're doing something a little different. As you know, here on Restaurant Revue, the last Wednesday for the last few years have been scheduled to be Artist Revue. Very well received, where we bring emerging artists to you with his or her works, and you get to hear about their work and where you can see them and the whole situation. Well, today is going to be a cross thing. Since it is the holidays, I can't say, well, it's just an artist without bringing my favorite Christmas treat, and that is my pet Christmas pig. Now, not like Angela Hill that had a live Vietnamese pig. I have this beautiful stuffed pig. I didn't stuff him myself, but he's been a tradition for years. I don't decorate anymore, but this is our tribute to Christmas for you. So you know it's a holiday and a holiday beyond Christmas. So this is our holiday treat to you. Hopefully you like him as much as I like him as well. But beyond that, we're really pleased, as our gift to you, besides getting to see this fabulous pig, is an artist that is probably one of the most well-known internationally that we've had on our show to date. And that's a pretty broad statement. As you know, we usually try and give those emerging artists a chance. This person doesn't need that chance. This person is just a celebratory that we are so pleased to be having in our studio today. His body of work, I can't talk about too old because he'll get upset because he's much younger than me. And I first fell in love with his work way back in the 70s and 80s when I was only a babe. My mother would show me the pictures. And just phenomenal. So we're so pleased to learn that he actually is a resident of our community now, as well as working and exhibiting. And without further ado, I wish to introduce and bring to the show Jose Maria Cundin. Welcome, please.
Thank you.
Oh, listen to that. You think you can live up? That wasn't much of an intro, huh?
Not at all.
I know I missed a lot.
No. It's a good introduction.
Good interview. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, let's first tell the folks, as I said, even though I love his work, was misled. The very earliest paintings that I saw of his work in the 70s and the 80s, I mistook him to be a South American, I thought from Bogota or Colombia. And that's not really his origin of birth. So let's go beyond the easel, go back to the origins. Tell us, sir, where you actually born, and I know you brought some magnificent photos of your early age. So let's get to know a little bit about you from day one, as much as you can tell, to today.
I was born last century, in the beginning of the last century, in the Basque Country in Spain. And that was is far in my memory, but still is very dear to me. And
where did you go after? When? About how old were you when
I was about
here you were still in these photos, right?
Yes.
This is still, let's see if we can see a close-up photo. This is two from early on. You were a teenager maybe, huh?
That's about when I left my...
But you were in your homeland
in
here.
my homeland, that's right.
And you can see one is what, in the studio? Is that what we're talking
the other
about?
one is in the school and in the studio.
And we have two of them here, so hopefully you've seen these great photographs that have, I love this one. This is, to me, this looks like a planned one, not just
Yeah, no, not really. No, I was there every day and I had to do...
So a little bit after this time, you left your home country.
I left my hometown with a scholarship for South America, for Colombia. And I stayed there for about 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then from there, instead of going back, which I was supposed to, I came to the United States. And I arrived to New York in 1950.
So you went directly to New York, where everyone comes. I guess you thought you still had to go through Ellis Island.
Everybody had to go to New York at that time.
Okay, great.
So I arrived there.
Okay,
and I
how wonderful.
And I spent 5 years of my life
in New York.
In New York.
Oh, okay. And then where did travels lead you?
After that, I'm going back to Europe and Spain. And I just decided that I should continue my experience in America, and I came back.
And what year was that about when you came back to America?
In 1964.
60s, okay, middle 60s. Ooh, during a very tumultuous time of our society, very tumultuous.
Yes, it was the
especially down here in the South, but there was so much going on.
It was very reckless and very experimenting and. Right, and the artist, of course, was very much aware of that opportunity, and so I was not the only one who thought that would be the right formula for personal formula.
Now, the big question here, though, is how did we get so blessed to get you to come and live in our community?
Well,
and when did that happen?
It happened in 1964.
To our community?
Yes. I think I got lost, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, I just was passing through with my younger brother, and we decided to stay for a while.
Okay.
And I just happened to get in touch with this gallery, the Orleans Gallery, and that was the beginning of my association with the city.
Now, unfortunately, his neighbors can't see him on our Cox cable because he lives on the North Shore. They have their own cable association. So, but don't worry, folks. We give them a little DVD so he can have a big host party over there and really show them all kind of stuff. In fact, he's scheduled to get a phenomenal award. We'll talk about that a little later. Upcoming, being honored by that area. So that's interesting. Okay, now tell us what first interest. This is always my question, I guess, and it's probably one of the hardest. What first interested you in art that wanted you to move to that as a participant as opposed to the unfortunate observer we have here?
Yeah. Well, maybe there was a familiar reference, my grandmother, and I was encouraged in many ways to be creative, although not professionally, because my father insists that maybe I should be something else.
Typical father.
Right.
But now, was your grandmother an artist herself, even if it's not professionally?
No, but she was creative.
She just brought out the creativity in you.
Right, and we was very much aware of that dimension in life. No?
Exactly.
And so this is one of the possibilities,
right?
Because it's too far away than to remember.
So how did you choose this over maybe music or one of the other arts?
Music is impossible because I am totally
I understand.
deaf.
There you go. And me as well.
In fact, I touch many other expressions, but mainly, of course, is the plastic one, the visual one.
Right. Okay. Well, folks, we need to talk some particulars again before we start seeing some of the masterful work as he's brought some historical pieces as well as to current, some things that haven't really even been released yet, or they're in that kind of work status. But we want to tell you where you can see his work online, because a lot of you all, whether you see this show or not, can view some of these pieces, if not some more, having this wonderful history of work, a body of work for you. There's so much you can see and realize his evolution in his different periods over those times. So our director's kind enough always to put up those references. So for those, and everyone seems to know how to use the web now, we know that www is the beginning, but we have the gentleman's name. And this might be a little tricky because a Spanish name always sometimes integrates the maternal side as well as the paternal side. So his gentleman's name is Jose Maria Cundin, and it's all one word. And it's, let me go ahead and spell it for you, Jose MariaCundin. I knew I was going to .com. JoseMaria.Cundin.com. So if you go there after the show, please don't leave right now and go. Although many of us are multifunctional, you can do that as well. You can get a lot more history on him and also see an additional work from him. And we're going to give you another website, because at the end of the show, we're going to see where you can actually see his work in the flesh, and that's so important, as well as online for that exhibit that he'll be having. So let's go ahead. I know we've baited you a lot, and I know you're excited. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up this first piece. This is a painting. Tell us a little bit. First of all, it's on wood. Knock on wood. And tell us, an oil. And beautifully framed, and this is an earlier piece. Approximately when was this?
Well, not that early, but it belongs to the previous stage of mine.
Okay.
And
do we have a title or a name for this?
It belongs to a show that I did in Spain. For the title of the show was "The Inconsistencies in the Spanish Life," or whatever. I don't know.
Consistencies in
inconsistencies in the Spanish, and this was a scene, political scene in the Congress. The title is "Appointment by Finger," and by itself it doesn't explain very well the context. It wasn't done, but I am very fond of this, and it's the only one that I have. You can see there some of the characters, the early characters in the Spanish Congress, just after the death of Franco.
What you're going to see, I think, folks, you'll bring out, and I'll be just really literal with it, and that's part of the stuff I like about it, is that he's a very serious individual and has very strong principles about government, about his own personal beliefs, and he also brings a whimsy to it, just like he's talking about here. This is a governmental picture, but it's not certainly the one that the head of the government would be hanging in his bedroom. This is something that the family, the country can enjoy. So you'll see that in a lot of these pieces, where something that may seem very structured, very formal, very strong is done not necessarily in a whimsical, but with a different touch and a different perspective on it that makes, to me, as far as I'm concerned, much broader appeal than strictly political propaganda. So let's talk a little bit about the size. Can you tell us approximately size is this?
It's about 16 inches.
Okay.
16
and in a lovely wooden frame.
Yeah.
The other thing that I love about it, you'll see in many of the paintings, especially in the new series, is the magnificent vibrancy of his colors. I think that it just blew me away the first time I saw one, and it continues to do so. His choices, you're going to see, are just phenomenal, and we'll get more into that as we move along during the situation. Now, are these this series all already consigned? Are there still available pieces, or do you know?
No, the one that you are showing now is unique. I don't have anything left from
that was it. Yeah,
time.
You need this for your.
There is other pieces
for
from
your
different
testimony.
years.
Right.
and correspond to different stages of a trajectory of sorts.
Exactly.
But this one is a good sample of
very nice. So
that I was doing
anything
before.
else you want to tell us about it other than what we've said so far?
No?
Excellent.
Very glad that you.
Well, you're going to see, folks, when we get later on into the colors, where you might not see such a defined subject matter. You might not see clearly the person just so realistically, but you'll see those colors and you'll see that subject matter in a whole new light, which we think we'll all enjoy. Now, what we're also going to do, because we're all convoluted for the holidays, is normally we follow the progression of the artist from his or her early beginnings, which we're showing now, all the way to the current work. But we're going, because we have combinations of sculpture, of other pieces, photographs, paintings, we're going to be jumping around a little bit. So, one, because of the technology of the studio and the limitations thereof, but two, because we really want to see how varied this artist is. He's not specializing only in the painting. And what we're going to do now is let him point out to you a photograph that's adjacent to him of one of his pieces. Let's go ahead and tell. Let's go move to the photograph, and there is a series of obelisks. I told him again that I'm fascinated by obelisks. I have a small collection of marble ones, and when I saw some of the pieces in some of his websites, really fell in love. Now, this one, tell us about this one here. This is actually the photograph of a piece, not just the photograph.
The model for is the actual model for a big monument. Then I designed for my hometown, the Bay. Just there is a very ample
Bay of Water,
harbor, and in the middle will set commemorating some incredible past event, then not to mention.
And what type of material would this be?
Stainless steel, and it will be floating.
It would float.
It will be like
not anchored. It would be like a buoy.
It will be anchored.
Oh, it will be anchored. I'm sorry.
It will be in fact, the title is I think it's
okay. That's all right. You've got so many of them. I know. About how tall?
It's a boy.
A boy.
It's a boy. It's a sentimental boy.
Sentimental boy. Very good. Now, about how tall would this be? Project over the water?
About 14 feet.
14 feet.
Because that will allow me. The bottom will not allow me more.
Okay.
That depends on how.
Now, has this piece actually been fabricated or not yet?
Not yet, but it will be.
It will be. So this is your.
I am not there, and I cannot move it.
Right.
And,
you certainly can't carry it on your back.
Everything's going on right.
Exactly. And again, folks, in some of the websites, you'll see a series of obelisks done like you've never seen before. I mean, it's a traditional. I first got interested in obelisks, I think, because of art history or maybe the Roman history, that period, and things like that. But they're also part of our heritage in our funereal situations. We have so many that involve in their tomb structures. So it is a fascinating subject to me. And what he's done is, and this one is almost a straightforward obelisk, but you'll see things of all sizes, shapes, colors, and whimsies, as well as a very, very serious subject matter. Now let's move to the next one. Now this one, folks, sometimes you're going to see portraits or indications of celebratory individuals or things that he would include, again, in his perspective. And so the next thing is actually a wall hanging.
And it's a small piece that was only 10 inches big, of a homage to Fabergé. Carl Fabergé. There is a very important collection of these eggs in the museum here.
Which we're not sure are real, though. Have you heard that? I don't know. We'll keep that quiet. But
the drama is there. And
of course.
So I work upon that drama, and this will be a homage. Of course, it's painted in half an egg. It will be half a homage. At this point, yeah.
But this shows what I was just speaking, folks, where here's a very famous artist, Fabergé, which we all may not know his actually looks, but certainly know the result of his works over the years. And it's always predominantly, even though he's done unlimited things for the czars and the czarina's family, the most notable are the eggs. So to take it down. My question here is the egg part of the back that it's on, or is it strictly the egg in itself?
I think it was the idea of the egg, it was the Tsar preference. There was a previous, the Tsarina liked these things to contain a present and
always some type of surprise.
Away. Yeah, it was a container.
Exactly, a vessel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in this case, it doesn't. It's not a container. The container is outside.
The exterior is the contents. And may I ask, what is the egg actually manufactured from, or is that a mystery as well?
No, in this case, it's wood.
Wood,
which is a more noble matter for the painting.
And the painting use what media? Is that oil?
Oil.
Oh, magnificent, magnificent. Well, today we're going so far away from oil. Oil was the only medium eons ago, but now today, we've expanded to so many different hybrids.
True.
That and I'm sorry to ask you these seems like inane questions, but we want the folks to realize it. But this is really, I think, such a contemporary piece that could be used almost anywhere, in anyone's home, office. It just, like I say, takes that formality of something so reputable and brings it down to our base level.
Indeed.
And I know that wasn't your intention.
It's creating a new icon.
A new icon. And let's carry it a little further. Our cameraman's going to drop down a little bit. I can't hold all these things. And this is a testimony in white. And again, I think it's a wooden... well, let's go ahead. You tell us about it, because you're the artist.
Well, this is a dear project, and I put together, and it will be, eventually will be, if I convince an architect or the fathers of the city.
Right, that's what we did.
A kissable wall, a place to... make an appointment with somebody, or a place that you.
We have to be careful, though, because if people start charging for that, then it gets a little off color. We don't want to do that. But how magnificent! And we certainly, if our honorable mayor is watching today, he's a big patron of the arts, and he knows how important the institutional urban art has become here in our city.
It doesn't.
So I know we're asking for a lot more taxes, so hopefully we're going to find some to continue that, because for those who have seen some of the magnificent pieces that have started to go up in the last 20 years here in our city, what a wonderful piece here, a kissable wall. Now, once again, this is a wooden structure, is that right?
Yes. This will be concrete. For example, depends.
Right.
If it's going to be, for example, a wall along the highway.
Oh, I think it. Yeah.
As the entrance.
No, we don't want to put it on I-10. No.
No, but they are going to do it, because all these neighborhoods need some kind
They all have some type of decorative thing.
Right. And
but
instead of being just a wall,
an independent structure.
It could be a very welcome wall, a wall that will.
And how appropriate! What better welcome to our city than a kiss?
A kissable wall, of course.
And to have a kissable wall, that way, just like in Israel, there's the Wailing Wall. So here's one that would be so testimonial to our city.
Indeed, it will be the great reference.
Phenomenal reference. So the kissable wall, folks. So of course, we're going to keep you in touch. When this will be built, and we're hoping we're going to have to send a copy of the show to our honorable mayor to make sure he doesn't miss it, because he could be busy today a little bit, buying Christmas presents, for a few little things.
Maybe.
But now let's go on to something that I can hold over here. It's a little bit again. Somewhat whimsical, but also of a very serious nature. And it's his homage again, or it's his part of his series on Valentine's, one of our favorite days. Right. And I'm going to tell you, I had a little bit of a similar inkling once, but it wasn't as well received as yours. And I don't know if you want to. Let's see if we can get a picture. This again is a wooden structure. Why don't you read what it says to us? Can you at the top?
Diastole and systole, which are the two movements.
Hopefully everyone understands that, because this is in a language that, of course, is not used much anymore, Latin, but it's a medical term for the heart itself, the two chambers, taking in and exporting of the blood, and that's what he shows. And many years ago at my first job, I had an idea. We had an elderly lady who worked, and I just wanted to give her a Valentine that she would remember and hopefully not insult her. So I had, unfortunately, I don't have the talent, but just copied a illustration of the heart and put, "Keep on pumping, Mama."
You see.
And she laughed, but I don't think she took it as well. Anyway, so if you know of someone that would more appreciate these are type, and have you done other similar Valentines?
Yes, different ones, but always with the same
concept.
graphic.
And I noticed these is this metal here, the frames themselves.
The frames are hearts themselves, and
yeah, it's a shape of heart, but is it metal?
Yes, metal.
Metal, okay.
Metal. Yeah.
And you fabricated the frame as well?
Not at all. No, I just find those things, and I found that they go very well, so I apply them.
But once again, folks, as we're talking about, notice the colors. They're vibrant, but they're also muted. And you're going to see that's going to keep translating as we get into some of the newer and larger pieces, which is what I love. So this is a great. So if you have a significant other that really loves Valentine's Day and wants something that really signifies this, don't flowers, candy, chocolate. Those are nice, but you want something like this is something that really can be a testimonial to your love for that person. Okay, now we've seen some really pieces. Let's stop for a little bit before we move further. Again, we're so pleased to have the international artist Jose Maria Cundin. He has, and I was shocked to find out that he is a resident that long. I knew he had moved to, well, of course, it's not New Orleans, but this is one of our exceptions where we really claim the people across the water. Usually the ones on either side of the water are adjuncts to a neighboring state. But this is one where we're proud to claim him as our own. And he's been in Folsom, has his studio and his lovely home, brought his lovely wife here today for us to meet, or his significant other, maybe I should say.
No, my wife. Unsignificant other.
They shared the name. I didn't think it was his sister because she's substantially younger and very, very attractive. Anyway, and we're talking about his origin of work, which goes back 30, 40. Let's stop at 40 years because that sounds so old.
More.
You want to go that far? Let's say 40 years. 40 years.
Yes.
40 years. You can see his work exhibited in private collections, museums, and that's why we're saying don't forget his personal website, www.josemariacundin.com, so you can see a little bit about this. Folks, something I forgot to tell you, as we always do, we do allow you, the audience, to get involved. It's not a reality show, but many times someone would be interested in asking the question. I don't know all the questions to ask these artists, or there might be something particular about a piece that we didn't explain or we didn't touch on that you'd like to know. So don't hesitate to call. We have those same two numbers that are available to you at any time during the show. And do not consider it an intrusion. It's a welcome call from both myself and the artist to answer any question about his work or about our show in case you're just getting familiar with it, but hopefully not. All right. Now, I think we've seen a lot of stuff here. We're going to start broadening as we see. We've seen a little bit of sculpture, little mixed media, but we're really going to start moving to things that are, I would consider mixed media or sculpture or whatever else. And I'm sure the artist can tell us more about it. So let's take a look at most of these. I think there's a series of, I would call them plates, or bowls, but this is probably insulting. Perhaps we can go over to the other studio where the situation is. So we're going to go ahead and take a little minute. I'm sorry about that. So while we talk, I should have given better clues. I apologize for that. We are now going to be looking at some other pieces that are too awkward to hold. and that are going up into our sculpture. And as I mentioned, the first 2 or 3 are actually chalices or vessels that can be hung or already hung. They're not for dishware, of course. I don't believe you wouldn't want to dare scrape any of these things up. Let's talk about this first one about it and all about how we got into this dimension.
Well, this is an exercise on anaphorism, which is the phenomena of deformation. And they are done in a concave surface, so the perspective as you move, they tend to change. And
right.
so the effect is like the figure is moving out of the space.
Right.
And,
so this, excuse me for interrupting, the title as we see it is, again, opus concava,
right.
Meaning is work concave, right. Sort of like a fisheye lens if you're photography, the reverse. But it's a concave, so that's why I was saying if you saw it outside of its stand, you would think it as some type of vessel or bowl or plate, and just beautiful. Let's talk about what is the material that the...
it's wood. It's wood.
All of it is wood.
All of it.
Now that is magnificent, because I was tapping on it without him looking, and I thought sure it was other material.
Wood, and I with it I try to sublimate or to exorcise a fear of this situation, the concave dimension, which I just happened to have an encounter with, and I didn't really like it. So
this is really from personal testimony. Oh, okay. I'm sure most of it is, but this one was really a seriously negative situation that forced you into this.
A very positive one.
And here you're basically, this is a public service announcement, a PSA.
Really?
I would certainly. Again, you might have to translate it to English because a lot of us Americans don't learn other languages.
Concave work.
But if we call it concave work, the only thing is we got to watch those housewives and say, "Oh my God, this would be beautiful for me to somehow take and serve a lovely salad." We certainly don't want that. Certainly don't want that.
I see. No, at all. No.
This is a map. It's really like a 3D, a bas-relief map.
Yes.
In a concave vessel, all of wood.
It describes a existential time.
And did we say approximate size? Looks like a square.
There is all sizes, but there is 8 inches to 25. Or
so this is about the 18 one, we think.
Yes, I don't go over the 24 in this project. Okay. Because the bigger they are, the deeper they have to be, and there will be a moment that will be awkward.
It'll be a little hard. Let's go ahead and move on to our next guy. I think we do have three testimonies of this examples of these. Let's see what's the next one, and you can tell us. Can we move to? Okay, now this is a much smaller piece, so this would be not so much the overall, still maintaining that square dimension of the frame, but the main vessel. And what do we call this? Look, now this is really, to me, and he'll probably say, no, it's not, this is his norm. But to me, this color thing is not what I attribute to him. No. From my early days, this would not be the color scheme that he would be most familiar or want to portray to us. Now tell me why I'm wrong.
I only use the light here and the claroscuro as a way of coming with the subject, and I am just trying to...
So what do we call this particular one?
It's the same as
same thing.
Yeah, the same is part of the opus concava. It's a series of them.
So all of them are in the same title.
Belong to the same.
We'll work on the same working title. Now, why does this one seem so different, color-wise? Why did those colors bring out to you? It's like on a piece of granite, which I think very attractive. It looks like granite instead of wood, the background, which I think is very and they're very complementary. The colors, I think the typical residents, people would say, oh, this is what we need because this goes in our neutral household. This will really bring it out. These are the colors that we love so much.
I think you are describing
poorly, huh?
Visual impression perfectly. Yeah, that's all about.
Well, I'm just so impressed, and I just wanted to see why this color striation on the vessel was, to me, seem to be more unique than
it's gold
the
leaf, and so therefore it's going to reflect the light. You can see it almost in the dark. And at the same time, the light is going to reflect the colors that are around. Yeah. So it will reflect you. You will see part of your picture, your image will get together with.
You see, I can see this one. The first one I thought magnificent to be mounted on the wall, but I could see this on a flat structure.
Also, yeah.
But again, once again, us crass Americans would use it as an ashtray. We don't want to do that, so we want to take it away from there. But to me, it would be magnificent on a horizontal surface as opposed to be hanging on a vertical. Right. Okay, we've got one more, and I think this is the largest piece that you brought up in this section, I believe, in this series. Is that right? Let's see if we can get to it. Yes. Is that the largest one? Oh, no, maybe the first. Yeah. But certainly, here we go with the colors, folks. Remember, I've been telling you about the vibrancy and maybe the muted part of the vibe. Got a little bit of glare on there, unless that's me. But let's talk about this. What do we have here? This again on all wood?
All wood.
Okay.
It's all wood. And
now this kid still carry the same opus concava.
Yes. There's about 40 of them. There's about 40. And it's exhaustive. I mean, when I
understand.
To work on this project,
you put a lot of time in it. Obviously,
I need at least 40 pieces to convey what I want to say.
But this, to me, conveys so much of your. Well, we'll see future and some of the artwork, and more of the painting work than maybe just these other two examples are so different. I don't know. Maybe, would you say of those 40, would the majority been this way, or they're all so different you can't even imagine?
They are different, and they are different shapes of that concavity.
Really?
Resolution.
So they're not all circular?
No. There are some, rectangular ones and triangular ones. And so each one requires, for me, a different attention in the composition, has to be carried on with a.
So you really intended to confuse us with this series.
Of the dimension itself. So it's a very complex. Really.
I understand. Now, and this is a relatively new series, or this is older?
This is inedit. I didn't show yet that one of these days.
Excellent. Now, are some of these on your website, this particular series?
Not yet. No, not yet.
So you see, folks, that's what's good about this program. You can't always catch everything. No way they keep every piece on their website.
No, this is
very good.
First time that I.
This is our debut. Yes. Okay, now let's move along, and we're out of that series, and we're into something else. Let's see what's next. I've forgotten as we lined them up. No, did we have this one already?
No, that was like the second one, but
we're going backwards,
bigger and more.
And
the effect really can be seen only when you move along, because it changes the perspective. The line evades you in certain way.
Yeah. Now, see, to me, this one looks, instead of concave, I forgot, is it convex? The opposite. This looks more planetary, like it would be almost like your Fabergé egg. This one from this view, of course, we're not up close to it, looks like it would be projecting forward out of the thing, as opposed to slipping away inside.
Right, and you will have to order your brain to get back to the reality, which is concave, because it tends to be convex.
Okay. So, all right. So that's our last one in this series, all right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to hopefully move into, because I know we're getting close to the sculptures, and that's the stuff, folks, you're really going to knock your socks off. Not that we haven't done it already yet. But let's see what we got. Let's see what our first piece is here. Now here we go. This is where we really, multimedia, we're really taking the typical wall piece, or what we would normally think as a painting, and giving it so much depth and dimension, and of course his usual phenomenal insight. What do we have here?
We have the a little bibelot. It's called the friendly ear.
The friendly ear,
which is something that should be one in every home.
Now, is this again wood?
It's wood.
And
It's
oil?
wood and epoxy. The air is made.
The ear is not wood. The ear is
No,
epoxy.
no, right.
And what is the? Now, I've forgotten whether is this relatively flat or is this much
Well,
more?
It's like a little
About 2 inches, maybe deep.
right, acoustic box in the form of a temple, and
Yeah, very Grecian.
Yes.
Great tribute with framing the ear. And what? Just like we have our kissing wall, here we have the friendly
very much,
ear.
yeah. This belongs to a sort of peripheric objects that I build and construct, and yet I didn't show them anywhere. So the collection keeps growing, and if I bring them here, it's just for hoping that this will give a dimension of what I do that was not the people is not very familiar with.
Right, of course, and that's why we love that's why we ask for the variety, because you have so many series which in and of themselves are magnificently different. But here your scope is so huge that this is really, there's something for everyone here. And once again, the painting, it looks like it's faux marble. It just
right.
really looks like an antique piece of marble that's cut into this wonderful Grecian temple. And what I'm glad to see, just like the kissing walls, that we're taking some of these serious subjects, some form of, and again, putting them in a positive note, not the unfriendly ear. We wouldn't want to see that.
It's the friendly.
I was going to say, we would not want to see the counterpart.
No.
And I'm glad you did not do the counterpart.
No.
Just no antithesis. We need, just like the kissing wall, we don't want the stay away from me wall. So we're really doing this, the public, your audience, and the world a favor here.
Only.
All PSA so far, we're really just getting the message out.
That's right. Only beneficial proposals.
Right. As the old saying goes, they love to say, and it's so boring, you're making lemonade out of lemons.
That's it.
Without the use of yellow. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Okay, now, again, that was almost a sculpture, but I think the next two pieces, I believe, will hopefully be a sculpture. Let's see if we can get to it, or am I wrong? This one is definitely. It's not something that his parakeet flew away from. This is a magnificent piece. I won't say anything more. I'm going to let you explain. You tell us, is there a title? Colors are just fantastic. Subject matter, everything is right on point. What do we call this? And what is it?
It's a metaphor of the predestination.
Predestination.
As a concept, yes. And the one that established that you are before even you are born or so.
So it's not the chicken or the egg. The egg, it precedes.
You are already in a situation there created for you.
Yes.
The possibility of a escape from that established determination, it could be spiritual, and that the egg on the left is escaping through the bars of the cage.
Of the cage. The cage is a magnificent shade of purple, and it's wood as well.
It's wood, yeah.
And what I like about it is, should any of those eggs not represent the human spirit, but actually hatch into a magnificent bird, it's already housed in its location.
Yeah, a bird or maybe an alligator.
Since it's a domesticated animal, it's not from the jungle. Hatches right out of its cocoon into its.
It's interesting what you suppose that it could be a bird, but it could be, as I say, an alligator or some other.
No, you are definitely right. Yeah. I say nonsensical stuff that I see, and it's because I have poor vision and very little knowledge of art, except for being a collector. And other than that, and of course, when people come to my house, they think it's the best word is a cacophony. I think someone said this house is a cacophony because nothing is right to them. It's all right to me, but it's nothing to them.
No, I agree with you. It's a very intriguing piece, but as intriguing as the...
this I could see in my house. I have my home is done in, it's a typical old, I won't go into that, but it's done in purple gold and green rooms.
Right.
And just be magnificent piece on top of one of these old wonderful pedestals I would have. This would just be magnificent.
I'm glad you see that.
But I can't take it away from mankind because this is too representative.
Well, it's only one piece and we are going to leave it like that. I usually do 2 or 3 pieces.
This is a museum piece. This can't be, not at your local bird shop. This has got to go to the museum.
I usually do.
Noma should be. We need to send this to the Noma too, the DVD, because I think that they need to add to their collection somehow.
Maybe they are now in this new stage.
I know. That's what I'm saying. How more appropriate for the new wings?
Well, I appreciate your suggestion. Thank you.
Well, no, I mean we just got to work toward this.
All right.
It's not a suggestion. It's a goal, a definitive goal. Okay, again, folks. Jose Maria Cundin, living among us, hopefully for his first and second lifetime, and contributing to the benefit of the world, and we get to see it even locally in person. We'll talk about that a little later. Now, there's one more sculpture, and this is really... I saw several pieces that were, again, we talked about very political, very formalized, and, again, this sculpture is magnificent. Let's go ahead and focus on it, there we go. Now, what do we have here? My goodness.
Well, this is the phrenological study of Lenin. Lenin, as the bust, and we all know, exists in every home in Russia. Not anymore. I think they just put it in the garbage. That's where I found this one.
Oh.
And I transformed it into a piece of...
So were you able... Phrenology, folks, my understanding is this wonderful sensation where people can tell things from the shapes of your head. You know, the little nooks, the crannies, the holes, the defects, the positive, all that stuff. So you've got that going here. So what I'm saying is, did you actually have physical experience to Lenin's head?
Well, I was...
this would be phenomenal.
With that science... with one of my teachers when I was a young kid, he was a great criminologist, and he introduced us to Lombroso and a few others, and ever since, I now and then I fell in the temptation of doing some phrenological study of some pieces. In the case of Lenin, it was perfect because the bust almost is done for that reason.
Of course.
Even in white, if it's polychromated, or like in many instances, art then is something else. But in this case, they might take my chances with these denominations and these areas, and of course there is some formulas that I come out, and it could be subject to discussion. But
I think phenomenal. Now again, this is wood.
That's plastic.
Plastic,
and the base is, of course, wood. And
wood. Yeah. I mean, it's so. I mean, thank goodness they tore that wall down, because now the people could heretofore this would have been idolatry. This would be.
It was an idolatry.
Yes. Now this can be appreciated, by everyone, as opposed to the fear of oppression or whatever. I had one question on it, and again, excuse my bad eyes, but out of the left part of the globe, right at the front near the eye, I detect what I see, and I'm sure it's wrong, a little blue ellipse that would appear to me a tear.
A false tear.
Do you see it? Do you see that, or is that I'm just totally wrong there?
Yeah, it's a cocodrillian tear. Yes, it's a tear, but it's a false tear.
A false tear.
Yeah, it's a tear of cocodrilo. They believe that the crocodile, when they eat their victim, they cry.
Well,
it's only because the pressure in the lacrimal...
and part of really representing also the tear that his vision had a limit to its realization, and unfortunately perhaps wasn't even anything that he realized what actually represented.
Yeah, and his compassion probably was part of the show.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I didn't know. I didn't want to insult you and say, no, Bob, that blue thing's not that. But I saw a tear that I thought was just magnificent.
Yes, you are very observant. You say
for someone blind. half blind. Yes.
Well, that's
the advantage.
Makes
yes,
you a observer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, folks. Jose Maria Cundin. Now we have, I think. Well, how's that time coming? Ooh, goodness, Mr. Director, we're getting close. I think we have 2 more pieces. I'm going to lift these like paintings, and these are really going to be indicative, as I mentioned, of that what I call that vibrant, that muted vibrancy, and that's a terrible thing to say in front of the artist. And I should have held that till after the show and talked about it in another thing, so he would not have heard that. But I'm going to lift this one up. Let's see if we can get it. And he's going to tell us all about it. Make sure is it here?
It's the upside down. That's right.
Is it?
No. Good.
Excellent. See how bad I am? Now, he's taken those soft, feminine... Oh, they're giving me I'm not holding it right for him. He's taken, first of all, those feminine colors we saw on one of the Opus Concava. I didn't use the word feminine because I know I'll be labeled as sexist. But the mauve, that pinkish shade, and did it in the frame. And I think it's magnificent because all it does is super emphasize the vibrancy of the reds, the oranges, and the other colors in the subject. Now tell us, I know I'm saying much too much as usual. I shouldn't be, again, I feel it's all wood.
Yeah, that's wood.
And tell us, what do we have here? What title, and do we have a title?
No, these 2 are 2 notes that I did for the show that is on display now.
The one we're going to talk about in a little bit. The surprise.
No. 2 studies that I made for the show of the 12 anti-portraits. So that will be myself, an anti-portrait of myself.
So this is part of the new series that we're going to see.
Right.
And we're going to tell them where to see it in a little while.
Yeah.
But your whole new series, which is all of your series going to be on exhibit or only part?
No,
of this series.
This is the 12 anti-portrait.
12 series called the Anti-Portrait.
Right. This is a project.
Anti-Portrait. That's his new series. It's going to be displayed locally. We're going to tell you that before the end of the day, folks. We won't get away without it. So we're so lucky to have 2 of those works in the studio here, and this is one of them. And this is a portrait of himself.
Anti.
The anti.
Right.
So anti is not the portrait of you?
Not the portrait. It's a possible portrait.
A possible portrait.
Yes.
I don't see the glasses. That's right. They didn't want you to wear the glasses. That was the problem. No. They didn't want to hide his beautiful visage, and they told him not to wear the glasses. Maybe that's why you painted it without the glasses, huh?
Yeah. If you are, as I am, trying to get a attitude or even a expression with only organic shapes.
Shapes, yes.
Well, there is a moment that that can be seen, and that's why I did these 2 pieces in order to
express that moment.
No, just get into the way of, because 12 anti-portraits is a major number. I mean, you can do 1, 2, 3, but 12 is a serious enterprise, and I had to paint 2 first in order to know if I will be.
So you really would have to be anti-narcissistic to do an anti-portrait.
No, the anti it doesn't mean it's not negative.
I know. That's what we're trying to. That's why I hate to use the word anti, because all the other pieces we've seen, we've been trying to evoke that positive symbolism that you're bringing out. And right away, when you throw that word anti, people say it's negative, and I don't see that.
In contrast to a traditional portrait, where you see the nose and the eyes of the people and so forth. Here I am, break away with all that
tradition.
Right, and I conform myself only with the task of formalities, color, composition, etc.
Now we're going to a huge piece. Almost too heavy for me to hold, but I did a beautiful job. Done again, a magnificent shades of gray for the framing. And take a look. Do we have a title on this one?
No, that has no title.
So that's still a part of the anti-portrait.
It's a figure moving.
One of the 12.
Moving from a dark area into a more.
There we go, folks.
Area.
Look at the colors. Do you think that's the vibrancy, the magnitude of your colors is part of your Spanish heritage?
Well, no? color is a very. Perhaps there is other.
Because the vibrancy in the Spanish traditions, the multiplicity and the vibrancy of color is very important.
Indeed,
very traditional, at least, if not important.
Indeed, we rely on the color for. It's one of the fortes of certain moments of the Spanish art, painting. But I am. Seriously involved since when I abandoned the figuration into a direction of just color and getting the utmost of it. Color is light, and light is a wonderful state of of life. Yeah.
Okay, well, folks, if I don't break. You have to have good mounting on this piece. Very good mounting, substantial mounting, because they make sure when they put it in the studio that they put heavy-duty screws on it. But, okay. Well, we want to do two things. One, we want to thank our fantastic artist. A real pleasure, Jose Maria Cundin, to swim across the waters today and bring this magnificent for you all. That's our Christmas present to you all. And I'm so pleased with it. Like I said, I'm probably going to give it to you as a New Year's present. So next week, when we normally would do a restaurant review, our studio lets our people off sometimes. And so instead of trying to bring in a new thing, we're going to most definitely replay this, because it's been a delight to have him. And I know a lot of you all will be off during the work week, perhaps, enjoying things. And what better way, how many times can you watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? This is time for you to get your family involved in the appreciation of art, and what a magnificent thing. Now, here's the other thing. This is the key. As we've said a little bit during the thing, Mr. Cundin's art is presently on display, especially this latter series we're talking about, at Gallery Bienvenue. So let's give you their website, and that's www again, and I think we're going to spell it Gallery, Gallery, Bienvenu.com. So you can see, I'm sure, some of these pieces and some of the others. And it's going on now, and he's going to be there. This work is going to be on exhibit until January 29th, the end of January. So you got some time, but don't procrastinate. We get involved with other things. And they're open from Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5. You can call them or contact them. They've already done his opening exhibit, but they may be doing some more for him in the first or probably the second Saturday of January. You know how we always like to go on our first Saturday of the month to see all the galleries. Well, because it falls on January 1st, a Saturday, most of the galleries are probably going to be moving it, we think, to the next Saturday. But you can find out from the paper, you can find out from the gallery website. So let's rehash real quick. We have his own website, Jose Maria Cundin, oneword.com, gallerybienvenue.com, and you can see a bunch of this stuff, if not as many as we've shown you. We're so pleased to have him. If I could bring him back week after week, I would do it. That's how much I appreciate his work. And anything else you want to tell these wonderful folks?
Thanking you for this opportunity. And
thanking you for what you contribute to the world. Wonderful. Okay, again, folks, if we don't see you at the restaurants, we'll see you at the galleries. So if you can make it, go to Gallery Bienvenue. What's their address? I don't even know their address. Do we have that here? I should have said that right up front. Oh, my goodness. On Julia. Most of them are on Julia. Looks like a half-blind person. Looks like 518 Julia Street. Well, call them up. It's in the phone book. Go to the website. They'll give you addresses. But certainly, if you plan to see any of the game, by the time right now, you still have a few days if you want to do some Christmas shopping. What a great idea. This is the ultimate gift, huh? Especially, get something that's available. If there's something available for you, you really would do well by your family in investing in this art, because this is stuff, just like anything, is going to be nothing but appreciating. You don't have to worry about depreciation. Okay, folks, enough from me. We thank again. We'll see you at the galleries. Okay, now you can put